What's up, my boy? So let's start off with you. Let's go second with you. Who were you before you were in the wheelchair, bro? How'd you grow up? Where are you from? You know, like I said, I met you here through wheelchair basketball, but I don't really know much about you, bro. What's your background? A little bit about who you were when you were growing up and stuff like that.
So I was born 1982.
Okay. Oh, you're both 82, baby?
No, I'm sorry. 84. I was thinking something else.
Oh, okay.
84. I was born in Pomona, California.
Nice.
And then I grew up probably the first 5 years of my life in Rancho Cucamonga. I don't know if you guys ever.
Friday after next Friday.
I see Friday a couple
times. I actually grew up on a dead end cul-de-sac street, just like the movie. We had
crazy. Trip out. Okay.
Yeah, pretty crazy. So
what did your parents do? Did you grow up with your parents or?
So that's what I was gonna get into. My dad actually passed away when I was only 2 months old.
Oh damn. Okay.
And talk about you guys got shot. He actually got shot. He got shot.
That's how he passed away.
Yeah, but he was into selling drugs, and that's kind of like what brought him into
led to that.
But also he was a professional motocross. He raced motocross like professionally, and then also street bikes, like super bikes.
Oh, nice. That's what's up.
He raced like Daytona Bike Week on street bikes, and then he also raced at the Coliseum back in the day for Supercross.
Dope.
So like the ones you could do tricks with and shit?
He didn't do back then there wasn't much of the freestyle tricks. It was just straight racing.
Damn, that's crazy. Yeah. Okay. So, it's funny. Like in Rancho, the movie Next Friday, you know, the Mexicans either sell drugs or they win the lottery.
Yeah, right.
so not trying to be funny, but
it's funny because
that's how you met. Yeah.
Like my dad had everything, man. We had a swimming pool, we had a RV, we had a flat bottom riverboat, we had street bikes, dirt bikes, go karts, ATVs. Like
did all that.
He had a 64 Nova, a 65 Chevelle. Like he had toys for days, and all that was pretty much drug money.
Man, so what do you know? What did you hear about him when you were growing up? Like, what would your mom tell you about him?
Up, like, single mom raised me, but I grew up, or like she had to work a lot, obviously. So I grew up with my uncles, my dad's brothers. So I heard all the stories, and basically they were telling me that he was having Cessnas flown up from Mexico. Like, so have you ever seen that movie Blow?
Yeah.
Like, my dad was like low level that, like having Cessnas brought up.
Damn.
And
is it the boat?
The story, huh?
Is it the boat or the plane?
No,
Blow is a plane. Yeah.
Okay. Having the little Cessna planes, the little like 5-seaters, right? So the story is like he was telling my mom that because they had just gotten married like 6 months before I was born, and he was trying to get out. So he was doing one last deal, and then they just.
Damn,
bro.
Wrong.
They freaking took the drugs, kept the money,
and killed him.
Left him up in the mountains, Mount Baldy. So I have no memory of him. So the only memory I have is like stories and stuff like that. So it's kind of like how you learned a lot from your dad, but like I didn't really know my dad, but I learned a lot without knowing him because I saw what he did. I heard all the stories, and then also my uncles
speak
were
about
also in that same kind of area. You know what I mean? They did a lot of drugs. Like I had 2 uncles OD on heroin within the last 15 years. So there was 5 brothers and 1 sister, and now there's only 1 brother and 1 sister left right now.
That is sick.
Between all the cash-in brothers and
because of the drug lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, and the one that's left has been addicted to crystal meth for 30 years.
That's crazy, bro.
The crazy thing is that I learned so much from them in the time that I was with them.
And how about you? Were you kind of like, I was asking Jaime, were you trying to go that, when you hear these stories about your dad, me being that kid that's ignorant, don't know about life, you hear this, damn, that dad must be the coolest fucking dad.
Right, so I would hear all these cool stories, but then like how he was raised by his grandparents, I really bonded with my grandmas and my grandpas. So I learned a lot of wisdom from them. And then I was able to see perspective and kind of like I saw some of my younger cousins start to go down that road because I was 14 and I had a 12-year-old cousin already get involved with meth. So I was like, all right, like how can you do like you look at our uncles, look at my dad, like that's where you're going right now. Like that there's other roads, there's other paths we could take, Like you can learn from mistakes, or you could follow right down the same road. So I was glad that I was kind of like my mom took me away from it a little bit, like because so we were in Rancho Cucamonga up till I was like 5 years old, and then she started dating finally, met which ended up being my stepdad Jim. at which he lived down here in San Diego. So that's how we ended up moving down to San Diego after like 10 months. We getting a place with him in Ocean Beach.
Nice.
They ended up getting married like 3 years later. So like that disconnect where I kind of got away from all my cousins for a little bit, like that was really huge for me.
Yeah, I bet. Okay.
Because then I could see like, okay, there's other things out there than just this neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But I still like was attracted to, because my dad raced motorcycles, so I still had an itch to do
I was
that.
in you.
Because I heard those stories, right? Those really cool stories about him.
Fuck yeah.
So 9 years old, we're in San Diego. I get my first dirt bike. Well, let me back up a little bit. So I was up until 9. I started doing sports, baseball, soccer, and then a little bit of volleyball.
Okay.
And then Christmas, 9 years old, I woke up and there was a dirt bike sitting in front of the TV, or in front of the TV in the Christmas tree, right?
Dang, that's
So
what's
I was
up.
like, what?
That must have been extra good this year.
Yeah. Shit, I got a bicycle,
Dude,
bro. This motherfucker got a dirt
no
bike.
clue. Like I thought I was gonna get socks and a toothbrush. and
Right,
shit,
right,
you know what I
right,
mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I had never got something like that. And it took me like a good 8 hours before I was able to kickstart that thing myself at 9 years old. And then I was kind of just hooked from there. Like we took it to Fiesta Island. I pet it a couple times.
Heck
and then,
yeah.
And so that was my stepdad got me into it. And then
Was he into that stuff too?
he was a blue collar worker. He was a construction and painter.
Oh, okay.
So he had friends that did that stuff recreational, but
Yeah,
he didn't really know much. Like he wanted to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he got me a bike, and then he got himself a little 4-wheeler, and we started going down to Otay Mesa, down in Chula Vista. And
Did
started
you?
riding?
Me working with kids. I worked with kids for like 10 years, right? Most kids that I speak with, when it comes to their relationship with a stepdad or stepmom, it's usually not good.
Oh, I hated him for the first 4 years.
Speak on it, please, a little bit.
I didn't want nothing to do with them. Like I mean, I used to straight up tell them when they were dating, like, you'll never be my dad. Like, you don't want to share your mom. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
She was my everything growing up until 5. So yeah, all of a sudden I got to share her with someone. I was like, nah, I ain't cool with this.
Fucking stranger over here.
Yeah, like literally the only time he would be near me is when I'd be sleeping. Like I wouldn't want to be near this guy, man. And then he got me a dirt bike, and then like we're like, all right.
You alright? You alright with this dirt bike? And how did that work? Eventually,
I was just
you
about to
guys.
joke. I was like, you can't talk to me unless you give me a dirt bike.
Yeah, right.
I got standards around here.
You want my mom? I want a dirt bike, homie.
Exactly. Yeah, he had to buy my trust.
Yeah, hey, it's all good, man. Sometimes it costs a dirt bike. You know what I mean? That's what it is. So, but eventually, it turned out like.
Yeah.
Did you call him dad eventually, or was it still a good relationship?
No, I think I was calling him dad. But
Eventually?
even before I got the dirt bike.
Okay, so you got your first dirt bike, 9 years old. It basically runs in your blood. Your dad was in it. He was into it. Like, that was probably a hobby of his.
Yeah, so I after I got that bike, all the other sports were out the window. I was like baseball, soccer, like screw that. I want to go ride. So did that for rode on that bike for a good maybe 2.5 years until I outgrew it and kind of just beat it up. It was junk by the time. I used to thrash that bike.
Hell yeah.
Ended up getting an early job at like 14, worked a whole summer, and then I talked my parents into letting me sell that and then kind of leverage into buying a bigger bike, right? And then after I got that bike, I got involved racing with my other uncles, which were up in Temecula. And that was blood uncles, and they raced street bikes, but they were like the smaller little mini bikes, like YSR 50s.
So when you tell me these names of these bikes, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
It's basically like a mini R1, but you can drive it on the street. But it's literally got a 50cc engine. Like
I'm still trying to understand this.
So
right
imagine 20 guys. I mean, it would be all adults. I was the only kid out there.
Okay.
And we'd be
We'll pull up a graphic later.
Yeah, we'll put up a graphic later.
We'd be on a go-kart track, right? And we're all elbow to elbow, all going in this first corner. Like it's the most fun thing ever, man. Because you're on little bikes. I mean, we're tapping out at 45 miles an hour, but
right.
20 bikes can't all fit into the same corner at one time.
Yeah.
So it was a blast. That's where I got like my first competitive itch.
Oh, okay.
It was just like, I mean, that whole shot. I mean, when you're lined up, it's all who's got the biggest balls.
Right. Yeah, who's gonna take that risk?
Who's gonna hit that throttle and hold it the longest, and who's gonna hit that brake the last?
That makes sense.
It's the first person to get in that corner. So I mean, it was all kind of intimidation. You want to make yourself as big as possible. I would, if I see him lean into me, I would lean into him and throw my elbow and like, no, this is my spot. Like, get out of here.
It's like the airplane.
Yeah, exactly.
Armrest is
You gotta own your space. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But yeah, man. So I grew up racing street bikes. Graduated from the 50 to modifieds to 80s to 125s. On the dirt bike side, I started racing like 450s, like bigger bikes.
Bigger bikes, okay.
Because I still had some of my dad's old bikes, so I had like a 85 Honda 480, like a big
Damn,
bike.
after all those years after him passing, you guys still had all his stuff, basically?
No, not like I wish. Like the cars and all the
Yeah, I was
toys.
about to say, damn,
the
bro.
cars and all the toys, all my uncles got.
Oh,
Like,
okay,
it was
okay.
kind of just gone.
Yeah.
Cause, I mean, because he was actually he was missing for 2 years before they actually found his body. So he was a missing person for 2 years before they declared him dead. So it was kind of hard on my mom because she didn't know what was going on, right? So in limbo, it was kind of like my uncles just started taking.
So she
some of
has
his toys, I guess.
you. You're turning 2-ish, 3-ish, and she still don't know if he's dead or alive.
Yeah.
Damn.
They actually declared him dead before they found the body because he was a missing person for so long. Yeah. And
That's
then
crazy, bro.
some like Boy Scouts found him hiking in the mountains. Yeah.
Today, I'm gonna say this. When I was a kid, bro, I'm gonna say teenager. I used to tell my dad, "How come you're not a drug dealer, bro?" I used to tell him that. What the fuck, because my dad sold produce. He sold produce. He still sells it, big quantities, right? And so I used to tell him, like, he used to go to the warehouses down south in San Diego. So it's been on the news. A lot of these warehouses have gotten busted for tunnels and shit like that, right? So we knew people that got busted or family members because my dad would have to go to those warehouses to pick up produce. And then guys there will tell him, "What's up, bro? Drive to LA, drop this off for me." And my dad would say no. My dad just didn't want to be involved in none of that. And when I found out little things about it, I was like, "Bro, you could fucking be rich, like sell some drugs." It sounds naive today when I say it, but that was me being a kid, right? What do you think about the fact that your dad sold drugs, made a living off of that, and because of that, he's not here today? As you grew up, did you see it as like, man, I would want to be like my dad, or because your mom separated you from that side of the family, you just stuck to the positive route, I guess?
Yeah, I never saw the glory in it. I only saw like the negative side effects and the outcome of it. And then living with my grandma, like they reinforced that. Because I didn't even say that. I lived with my grandma going to school after high school. So actually, like about 7 months before I got hurt, I was living with my grandma for a full year, going to mechanic school.
Trip out.
So I just got perspective on everything, basically, and like I knew better, basically. You know what I mean? Because like I said, I saw my cousins kind of going down that path, and I'd kind of check them and be like, look, like you. Look at our aunts and uncles, like
they're all overdosing. And
you really want to do that? Like, there's other options.
And right now, what you guys are, me working with kids, I found out this about me, how ignorant I was, because your parents lived it. Your dad was in jail in and out. Dad was selling drugs, and you see the perspective how my parents weren't doing that, and I'm here glamorizing this shit. I'm here like, damn, Dad, you could have been a drug dealer, thinking it's fucking fun and it's the thing to do. But you guys that saw that side don't have that ignorance. Me, like I like to judge myself when I listen to people. Like, how come I used to see it? How come I saw it as fun? But you guys did not at all.
Because you romanticize it, like America, we romanticize like gangsters, and back then, you know what I mean, like we glorify certain things, you know what I mean, and so where we come from, it's glorified, you know what I mean. So that's the example you have to look up to, you know what I mean. So that's why you didn't have a front row seat of like seeing.
I didn't. Like I saw it in the community, but I didn't see it in my home.
Yeah,
the community is one thing, bro, and it's funny when I think about the families that were involved, they're not here no more.
Yeah,
they had to go back to Mexico, or their families separated. Somebody died, and it's now thinking about it, just like that, their life changed. It went from we have everything to now we're on the run. Now somebody died, and
it's funny though, because I didn't know that Jaime grew up with his grandparents.
Crazy.
But like now that I know that, then now I think I think it's just wisdom.
It is.
That
Oh,
you
absolutely.
Kind of like that your grandparents impart, and that's what allows you to kind of see the perspective, like what could happen.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, I was so ignorant, bro. Man, so how old were you, bro, when you ended up in the chair?
21.
21. So you're already out of high school.
I was out of high school.
You had no babies or nothing at that time?
No babies.
Just girlfriend?
I didn't even have a girlfriend at the time. I had a couple during high school. But
what high school did you go to here in San Diego?
Point Loma.
Oh, okay, nice. That's what's up.
Went to OB Elementary and Point Loma High School.
Damn, that's crazy.
Graduated 03. And then from there, I got a bunch of school grants, and I wanted to be a mechanic, basically, because that's what all my uncles did. And I mean, I was already racing motorcycles. They were teaching me how to work on stuff.
Nice.
And then in high school, I was also working 2 jobs and got an old Chevy truck, and I rebuilt the engine in that. So I was already learning how to be a mechanic. And so didn't get a scholarship or anything. Had to have like 22 grand with the student loans, but it was a 13-month school straight, like 7-hour days. It was like awesome. I get in and out, be out in 13 months, then I could start working. Everything went good. I was up in Rancho Cucamonga, actually, where I went to school, and my grandma was up there, so I lived with her. I woke up at like 5:30, coffee, straight to school. Mm-hmm. School started at like 6:30. It was like super early, but we were done by like 1.
Oh, okay.
So then I could go, I drove from Rancho Cucamonga down to Temecula. It was like an hour drive, and I was working on tractors with my uncle, like meth.
Yeah.
So I was even while I was going to school, I was still working with my uncle and learning from him and learning the good things and the bad things. Because even like hanging around him, there were still times where, I mean, after work, he'd be like, hey, let's go get food, and I just got to make a stop real quick. Right? Real quick, right? And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, we got to go up to, this. Or I'm like, what are we doing over here? Right? And then we're going in this shady little neighborhood. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I'm already thinking. He's like, hey, just wait in the car. I'll be right back. And I'm like, I am not waiting in this neighborhood. Like, I'll be like, okay, yeah, I'll be right here. As soon as I see him going, I would leave his ass so quick, dude.
Uncle's so like, we're going from Rancho Cucamonga to Compton.
Yeah. He's like, I just want to stop for a pretzel real quick.
Oh, hell no. That's crazy.
Kind of
I did that a handful of times and didn't tell no one about it.
Yeah.
I still wanted to learn from him. And because he was actually, besides working on that heavy equipment, he was a crew chief for race teams. Like, he was that smart, but
is he the guy that's taking off the tires on the knob all late and shit?
He was the guy running the team and the guy they only trusted to do the clutch for drag racing. And the clutch is everything for drag racing.
Okay.
That's what gets the power to the ground.
Yeah.
So he was so good, he would get fired from a team, and the next weekend another team would be like, "Hey, we're gonna hire you." And he was so good, he would fuck up, get fired, and then he would have another job. I'm like, dude, you gotta I was still learning from him that way. He was a genius, but he was too smart for his own good. Too smart.
And you know what, bro? You know what's even more dangerous? When you're smart and you're on drugs. Because you're still you're useful still.
Man.
If you're on drugs and you're not smart, it sounds messed up, bro, but you're freaking useless.
But I had uncles like that too. You just gotta ration out their pay because you give it all to them at once. You might not see them for 2 weeks.
Exactly.
But if you only give them half their paycheck, you don't see them in maybe 3 days, maybe 2.
Oh man, that's crazy, bro. So you're 21, bro. What happened, man? Did it have to do with you racing or?
So I was after I graduated my the school.
Okay.
I basically top of the class. I graduated straight A's, 4.0, perfect attendance. The only one to ever do that, and I was the only student to graduate passing all my Master Tech licenses. So I was the only one to ever. They told me not to take them all while I was there.
Dang.
And they're like, it was too much if you take all 8 tests at once. I'm like, well, you guys are testing me every day. It's only an extra $100. I'm gonna go ahead and do it. If I fail, whatever, I can just retake it. Ended up passing them all. First thing my uncle taught me was, you got that patch, that Master Tech patch, throw it away. Like, you still don't know shit. Right? Because if you show up at your new job and you should wear that patch and you're getting paid more than a guy who's been there for 5 years, they're not going to teach you anything.
They're going to be jealous.
The first little issue you have, I never worked on this car. Like, you up? No, I can't help you. Like, you know what I mean? So he taught me to be humble and hide all that. But at the same time, there was a story how smart he was. He was working for a race team and there was 5 Master Tech, new Master Techs. This is a story he told me. And they couldn't fix this car. For some reason the car wouldn't start. And he was sitting back all you got master techs, like, oh, that piece of paper, you like that won't fix the car for you? He was like, damn, that's crazy.
He saw the opening.
Yeah, and he was like, here you guys go, you fucking idiots. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he was that smart.
That's crazy.
So even though I had it, he put me in check, humbled me, and like, you know what I mean? So I ended up having an option after I graduated. I could continue to go to a school, like a manufacturer specific. Basically, like BMW will give me a scholarship to go to their school. Mercedes will pay me to go to their, Ford will pay me, you know what I mean? And then I'll work for their dealership. The hardest one to get into was Porsche, and I was like, oh, I might as well. I'm at the top of the class. So passed the first interview, and then I was going to the second interview, and the school's in Georgia, and I had to go for another like 10 months, and then you sign a contract, and you have to work like wherever they tell you. So I could have ended up in Orlando at a dealership, and like I would have had to work there for a year.
Okay.
So while I was in that interview process, I finished school and was back here in San Diego, and I was, I had a couple weeks. I was like, I might as well, go to this Porsche dealership and tell them what's going on with me and give them my resume. And the first one I went to, he was like, he's like, oh, wow, like, and you're going to PTAP maybe? He's like, don't do that. I'm going to hire you right now.
Because he looked at your record.
He looked at my resume, and he's like,
yeah.
don't go to Georgia. Like, we're going to hire you now, and I'll send you out. Like, I promise you, I'll send you out, like, 2 weeks a year, and you can go get that same training while working. I was like, and the dealership's right on the beach in Carlsbad. So I'm like,
I'm staying.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah, it's a fucking no-brainer.
Decision, right?
Yeah.
I don't gotta go to school no more. So started working for them, making $28 an hour to start off, flat rate. It's crazy for.
What year was this?
This was 2004. I was bringing home like $5,000 a month, easy, like. And that was still training, like that was still just the beginner type pay.
2004, that's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I ended up like after 6 months, I've got my own apartment in Pacific Beach. I got a little Toyota pickup truck, and then I bought a new dirt bike. Right, so I had like 3 months on this new dirt bike I got. It was a brand new Honda 450F, so fast, like quickest bike I ever rode.
Yeah.
So I've been out to the desert like I think 3 times. And there was a Grand Prix race I've never done, but it was right by my cousin's house.
What is that, a Grand Prix race?
How could I describe it? It's a desert race. So big laps. There was like a 5-mile track, and you end up doing like 2 laps, right? So a lot of riders, like you start in like packs of like 50, and then you start with the engine off. They drop the flag, and then you kickstart it, and then you're off to the races, right? First time doing something like this. I've done a lot of other races, but this was the first time doing this kind of specific Grand Prix race. So I messed up the start because it's the first time I ever done this. Guys take off, and I was one of the last ones to get it started and get off. So then I just start passing guys. Like I'm wide open, like I'm passing like 3 guys a corner.
Okay.
And then opens up, big whoop-de-doos. I'm doing like wide open 5th gear pen. We're talking like 65 plus miles an hour, and I'm in a wheelie, right?
Hell yeah.
Going so fast that I didn't see that one of the whoop-de-doos coming up was like 2 feet deeper. So I'm in a wheelie, and like the wheel just drops in going that deep, and I loop it going the back. So that's how I lost it off the back. I'm going that fast, and then my butt hits the ground, and it compressed 2 vertebrae, and then tumbled, and that was it.
Did the bike fall
are
on
you?
you?
No, I got lucky. The bike kind of tumbled off to the side.
That could be the second
Yeah,
worst
'cause
part,
that-
because you'll fall and then the bike falls on top of you.
Yep, that's why you wear the chest protectors. Yeah, I've had that where you fall and tumble, and then you see the bike come around.
So you're on sand, riding on sand, or is it like hard dirt?
This is hard packed dirt.
Okay, yeah, because I was like, damn. Okay, so you're popping the wheelie, you fell back
Yeah,
you basically fell on your butt,
I basically straight on my
and
butt.
because of that, it compressed.
Compression fracture, yeah, burst fracture. So the T5, T6 basically blew up and shattered into they said over 50 pieces.
Fuck. So it's not like us that a bullet went through us and it just shattered that little corner.
So my spine compressed and then just popped. So they had to take bone from my hip, and then they caged it, and then they put the bone from my hip around it, a bone graft to kind of seal it up, and then the rods above and below.
Wow. Dang.
Yeah.
So they still had to take bone off of you to put bone in your spine. And you were 21. 21, bro.
21 years old. Yeah.
Describe that moment. Okay, you fell. The bike didn't fall on top of you. There's other bikes behind you,
Yeah,
right?
so the first instinct was, I'm gonna get run over. I need to get off the track, right? Because all those guys I just passed are going, they're going fast too.
Yeah.
And I knew I was in the middle of the track. So the first thing I was conscious the whole time. The first thing I'm on my stomach, right? I tried to do a push up and get up.
Yeah.
And there was just nothing from the chest down. Like I pushed up and there was just, like, my hands moved fine, but
And what are you saying? Are you freaking out?
I couldn't feel nothing from the chest down. I just laid there, and then luckily there wasn't even any corner workers by me, like the officials. I had spectators see me and then come over and help me, and then they called the paramedics, and then helicopter came.
So the people were seeing that you couldn't. That some people saw that your legs were just not cooperating.
And they had the same idea I had. There was no corner workers, and I need to get off the track. So I'm in the middle of a race, and it's dangerous because there's no one to wave that yellow flag, that caution flag to slow them down, so I could get run over again, right? Basically,
yeah, bro.
Bike's not in.
So what happened was they ended up dragging me off the track. Like there was no stabilization of my neck and spine. They grabbed my arms and drugged me off, and I wanted them to.
Bro.
It was the only option. There was no.
Do you think that made it worse? Because sometimes if they move you too fast, certain situations it can make it worse.
It probably made it. I mean, but
I
already couldn't feel anything.
Yeah. It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. Yeah, that's crazy, my boy. That's crazy, bro. So you said the helicopter picked you up.
So I felt no pain this entire time, conscious the whole time. But when they loaded me in that helicopter, the vibrations from the helicopter, I was like, this ain't good, man.
You started feeling it?
Yeah.
And did you know you were paralyzed at the moment? How long did it take you to be like?
I knew right away. Because there was just, I could, literally from the chest down, it was just nothing at all.
Damn. Yeah, when I got shot, bro, and I tried to do the same thing like you, I tried to get up. The pain didn't come until the ambulance got there. Probably within a minute. Within a minute they got there, and then I started feeling the burn. I was choking on my blood. Man, it was crazy. So what hospital did you end up in?
So we were High Desert, Adelanto. They choppered me down to San Bernardino, the Arrowhead Regional Hospital, which is maybe a 45-minute drive.
Man, so what is the process? The doctor telling you you're paralyzed. So even though you're paralyzed, we ain't no doctors, so we don't know, but we have an idea something's wrong. What was that process like for you?
I don't really remember the doctor telling me. My first recollection is when my mom got there, and I saw it in her face just how devastated she was.
They had told her.
They told her, and I just looking at her face, I knew right away that I couldn't show any weakness, and I was gonna show her that everything was fine. So right from the beginning, I was showing strength to my mom, everything's gonna be fine. I was okay. I mean I wasn't okay. I was kind of like you, where I might be able to live without my legs, but I need my manhood to work still. You know what I mean? If I could still have fun with the girl, then you know what I mean. Life will be okay, right? So I had that same thought, but then when I saw my mom's face, I was like, Mom, it's still me. I'm still me. I'm still here. I'm still alive.
What was she telling you?
She was not much. She was just devastated, man. She was just devastated because I had just got that nice job and
you're doing good, bro.
Yeah, I was the first one in the family to ever graduate high school. Or I mean college. It was kind of a cool thing. Everyone was proud of me. And then this happened,
bro. So me, me. When I hear stories like these, right? I feel I ain't got nothing right, but I feel certain people don't deserve certain things. Me, I was looking for this without knowing I was looking for it. So me being involved in the gang, bro, this comes with it. I can't whine about it, right? But when I hear stories of people that were trying to do the right fucking thing and this happens, I mean,
I was still riding dirt bikes every weekend though.
But you're not doing something that's gonna hurt somebody. Yeah. You're not selling drugs, bro. You're not trying to hurt people.
The day before I got hurt, I'm at work working for Porsche in my stall in my garage, and the tech next to me graduated from UTI a year before me, guy Justin, and we're having this conversation. He's like, what happens if you get hurt and can't ever work again? legitimately asked, like, what happens if you get paralyzed? And I got paralyzed 2 days later.
Josh.
That motherfucker jinxed it.
He still feels bad for saying that.
Damn.
And I still like talk to him, and I'm like, don't trip, bro.
Damn,
like,
I would
have been like, you spoke it into existence.
yeah. What do you know that I didn't know, fool? Nah, check it out, fool. When I was going to dental assisting school when I was 19, right? The school was so ghetto, bro. My teacher was fresh out of jail, so it was a ghetto ass school. I used to go volunteer to the medical assistants to take out blood. There was girls that would fucking want to practice. So me being a little hoe, I'm gonna go and have these girls take out some blood, chop it up, whatever. We're in the room, and there's a wheelchair, but the bulky ones, right? And you know, I don't know about you guys, but when I was walking, if I saw a wheelchair, I want to just play with it, see what it's all about. You know what I mean? But not knowing nothing about it.
Me too, man.
Bro, I'm in this chair trying to pop wheelies, and they're harder because it's heavier. But I'm here trying to pop wheelies, and I'm like, I literally said this, my boy, I wouldn't mind being in one of these forever. Fucking dumbass. I'm stupid.
No, there's little kids that say stuff like that.
No,
like, like I'm like, no, don't say that.
Yeah, when I see kids,
you can play in it, you don't want to be in it.
Yeah, there's kids, bro. They look at me and they want to like push me or even hop on me.
Toy, yeah,
and it is when you're walking, bro. This is a toy. If you're healthy and you don't need it, it is toy, bro. I wouldn't mind going down the hill with these if I was walking, fucking around, bro. But that's what I said. I wouldn't mind being in one of these forever, bro. And like a month later, I ended up in one. It's crazy. Fucking crazy, bro. Fucking crazy. Like
a month later.
So we kind of like, man. Just your words speak.
Well, also too, people always ask about my like accident, and then like I'm like, yeah, they're like, oh, did you feel bad, this and that? I was like, like I told them about my other stories, but like I realized like the day I was supposed to, like the day I got injured. Also, I could have went skiing that day, right? And it
could have happened that way.
The year before, I was sitting down at the end of the hill just laughing at people crashing into shit because it was just kind of funny to me, But in hindsight, after like everything, I thought about it. I was like, man, maybe I could have went skiing that day and maybe got paralyzed higher. You know what I'm saying? Less function, less ability.
Yeah,
bro. Not to say that anybody's quality of life is different because,
but it is, bro.
It's a different lifestyle. You know what I mean?
Shit right
it is.
No, I mean I'd be limited to probably quad rugby, one sport versus I could do several sports. So a lot of times people were just like, sometimes it was a blessing in disguise. Maybe the injury I would have dodged that bullet, right?
Yeah.
So to say, no pun intended. But then got injured in this other situation. You never know. You never know what God's plan is for you. So, and then also the thing I forgot to leave out is when I did get shot, like my cousin jumped to the passenger seat. We got to the church and there was the cop in front of the church right where I was supposed to be going. But on my way there, as I was like putting my head on the window, I kind of was at peace at dying at that point. Like, I had friends that had died, and I had like, I'd be in school daydreaming about like who would be at my funeral kind of thing, or I'd dream about like who would be at my funeral. It's like a horrible thing to think about as a kid. You know what I mean? You're supposed to be
not thinking about
toys and building and just adolescent stuff.
Right.
So that mindset was already there where it was inevitable. So I kind of was just like, and I've already seen it happen with friends, so I was just like, it's my time. But then like once I got like comfortable and I started to get like a little sleepy, my cousin's like, no, stay awake. And I was just like, and then I like something my mom had told me, because I'd always come home late or never on time, and then like she'd be like, oh, something. One day she broke down and she's like, oh, something happened to you. I would go crazy, I'd go insane and like literally like lose it type shit. And I was like, I don't know, for some reason that little soundbite, it was like never clicked in my head before, but it clicked in my head at that moment. Like I'd go crazy if something happened to you. Like, so then that would just be like, all right, fuck, I gotta start breathing, I gotta start trying to like not go to sleep, so that's what kind of woke me up in a sense. And then once I got in the ambulance, I was just like, I was trying to save my life versus I was accepting my fate at one point.
And I'm asking you guys this, me, man, I want to say, let's say 4 or 5 years in, I accepted it. How long did it take you, Dan, to be like, accepting, I'm gonna put it like this, not accepting, but being okay with it, man, because to be honest, you guys, it's very. When I hear somebody say I figured it out my first 2 years, it's hard for me to be like, I couldn't, bro. It still took me a while. It's still, how about you, Dan? What how long did it take you for you to be like, you know what, it's all right?
There's probably levels of acceptance.
Talk to me.
It's where like you go through phases where like you were asking Jaime what his biggest struggle was right away, and you were talking about cathing.
Mm-hmm.
Me was bowel program for sure. Like I dreaded it, hated it.
Yeah. To this day, I hate that shit.
Yeah. No, I finally had surgery last year and have a colostomy bag. Like I'm talking about before, but yeah, I was shitting blood for 15 years. Like I hated it, man.
For real, bro?
I had so much pain, man. So much pain.
And was it your diet? Was it because of the injury?
It was. They messed up on my surgery. So my surgery was supposed to take like 7 hours projected, and I was in there for 12. They said that when they were bolting up the hardware, so they caged it, took the bone from my hip, and they're bolting in the titanium rods from bottom up. They said they drilled in the first two vertebrae, and then as they're going up, it wasn't fitting correctly, is what they told me. So they said as they were going up, it was too large, and they had to start cross-threading the bolts in crooked to try to get it to bring in. This is the surgeon explaining this to me, and I'm kind of out of it. I just woke up from this surgeon. I'm like I'm a mechanic. I'm like,
and it still doesn't sound right.
I'm like, you cross-threaded a bolt in my spine? I was like, what?
Damn.
So I ended up having a ton of pain. Like my scapulas, my shoulder blades would grind on the hardware for the first 5 years. So I was on Oxycontin heavy. So it ruined my digestive tract. I was just complete constipation for 5 years straight.
Because you were taking them that bad?
Yeah, I mean... Yeah.
Bro, when I got out of rehab, I was on morphine patches and oxys, the strongest they got. My mom took them away. She was hiding them, bro. She literally put them somewhere up top so I couldn't reach them. Like, it was fucked up. But she was like, because I was not out. I won't. Back then, I had my tippers. So I'm here tipped back, food, just like fucking knocked it out, drooling and shit. Like, did you feel you needed it? Did you need them, or did it get to a point where you were addicted to them?
I can talk more about it now. I had a lawsuit because of that surgery.
Okay.
So I wanted to get off of them. Like, I was in pain, but I still wanted to get off.
Yeah.
Because I felt the addictive part. I knew all the stuff it was doing to me.
Right.
Like, I would miss a dose, and then I'd get diarrhea for a day straight. And that took me a while to even figure out that was happening to me. And so, yeah, man, it was just like, so I kind of had to keep taking them because of the lawsuit. Right, because if I tell my doctor I want to get off of them, well, then my lawsuit isn't gonna
goes away.
I'm not gonna get any settlement from that if I'm not taking painkillers. So yeah, I was for a minute I was getting prescribed them and I was just flushing them down the toilet or giving them to a friend. Which that was only for a little bit. And I got wise on that because you get in a lot of trouble.
They're bad. They're bad, bro. They're like, that's why I'm asking, because like once we get to a point where we're just taking them because we want to feel high, that's when it goes bad. If you're taking them for the pain, or even the fact that because of the lawsuit, you know what I mean? Because now they test your levels of how much of that you've taken.
Right.
So like you can't lie. You can't be like, oh yeah, I taken them and your system is clean. You know, like you ain't taking shit.
So I ended up settling with the lawsuit, and then I was able to just get off of them.
So tell me, so one thing you got me right now with was the phases, because you're right, bro. Mine was phases. After the 5 years, I went through a certain phase. After I got married, I went through a certain phase. Having a kid made me go through a certain phase. You know,
I'm trying to remember exactly what like the breakthroughs were on the phases, but it's kind of vague to me.
No, it's all good.
It was just like you go through phases where like you go through struggles.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Where like I remember I was still living because I moved back in with my mom after I got hurt, and I had my own room and everything, but I had like the bathroom chair, like bathroom commode.
Yeah.
Right, and I was still like, there was times where I'd be so frustrated where I would literally want to throw my wheelchair outside, and there was one time I picked up that commode. Threw that bitch as far as I could. Like I just don't want nothing
tired
to
of
do
this
with
shit. Yeah.
Right, but sometimes you gotta let those frustrations out, those feelings, and then you're like, all right, like, you know. And then I would go to basketball practice with the homies and like, you know, like turn the page, like you said, right?
Yeah.
You know
Well, and you know what? Now, thank you for even bringing that up, bro. Let's talk about that because, like I said earlier, you guys, this is how I met these guys through wheelchair basketball, right? What I said earlier, what's funny about their story, man, is that as you guys heard it, they're not in the military, but they are coaches for individuals that are playing sports in the military, bro. So to me, it's a little funny because they weren't in the military. I'm here thinking you're supposed to be in it to be involved somehow, right? Starting with you, Jaime, how did you get involved? You already said it. You were involved in sports when you were growing up. 17, you were already playing basketball. What got you into wheelchair basketball? And for you to get to the point that you started coaching.
Okay. So probably like I got injured in 2000, and then I would say like took me like maybe a year and a half to 2 years to kind of get used to my body, you know, because like when I first got injured, I could like feel like water go all the way down to my stomach. Like I could feel the coldness through my lungs and all the way down to like when it got here where it was going to my body, and then like half of my left side was numb. Like for like the first 2 years, like I could start get feeling in my everywhere else, but like my left side where I had most of the surgery was just like super numb on that side, and then I had the ribs where they got broken. They were supposed to wax them, and I didn't find out till a couple like maybe 6 years.
A while back.
Well, no,
a while later.
Like maybe like four or 5 years ago when I did the surgery.
Okay.
To do something on my kidney that they said, oh, your ribs were like not fully waxed, so we fixed that when we were in there. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was really uncomfortable for a long time. I couldn't really lay on my left side for that long because those ribs were still pointing inside. So like I could sometimes if I laid straight on my back, it would feel weird. You know what I mean? I didn't like people touching me on that side. So I just kind of had to get used to my body. And then so obviously about 2002 is like when I went to the first practice. But it was like I didn't have a car, and I got shot in the car. So it was like I was reluctant to like start driving again because I got shot in the car and I still lived in the same area, you know. And so I took a bus and like I think it was a bus and train, or maybe just a straight bus with two buses from the south side all the way to the end of Lakeshore Drive, which is pretty far. It's probably like a 20-minute track, like in a car. So on a bus, it's probably like an hour. So I took that and I went to the practice, and it was RIC Rehab Institute of Chicago, and it was their practice. And I was in my everyday chair, so I didn't really have a sports chair. I didn't know about sports chair. And then I started playing, and you know, got a rebound here, kept getting rebounds, and kept like I got a shot or two. And then the coach was like, how does he keep getting rebounds? He's in the everyday chair. You guys in a sports chair. And they're like, so then after the coach got on him, like they started back picking me. And it's like kind of like in, you know, able-bodied sport where you can pick somebody out, but you could actually keep the pick. Yeah. So I was just like, I didn't really know the strategy of the sport. So I was like, this kind of sucks. Because like after I made one or two shots, the whole practice, they're back picking me. And then I'm in an everyday chair, so I'm not as agile as them. And then my front wheel was like making noises like a shopping cart, the rattling, shaking. And then they were like, "Oh, shopping cart syndrome," talking shit, you know, like to me, and I didn't even know these guys. Like, I'm like, these guys are.
So they're giving you a hard time in the beginning.
So yeah, I was like, these guys are assholes, and I kind of got discouraged a little bit, and I was just like, man, it took me 2 hours to get to this bitch, and then you know what I mean, like, then I'm getting backpick half the practice, and like I'm used to dunking people, I'm used to crossing people over, like when I was walking, so this was like not fun to me. They were, I was on the other end of it, actually, you know, I was on the other end of the dunk and the crossover, you know what I'm saying? They weren't doing that in practice. So then I kind of like, you know, kind of let my body heal up a little bit more because I was just barely getting my balance back and stuff. And, you know, like I said, my side still hurt a little, like not hurt, but it was still numb and I couldn't like control it as much, the left side. So then I just waited another year. I saw like a WNBA, like wheelchair, was it? Did I say it right? NWBA, yes. Yeah. So I always say it wrong. So NWBA, like
we're not talking about women's basketball here, guys.
It's National Wheelchair Basketball Association. So like I saw a game, like it was at some college in Chicago, and it was like a high level game, like Division I. Like I was like, oh, okay, that's how they play at full speed, and it looked dope. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna give it a try again. And so then I started going out to practice for basketball. And then I started going for softball. So I got back into like my passion. You know, there wasn't football like.
So it takes you like how many years? Like 3, 4, 4 years?
About 3 years. About
3, 4 years. Okay.
So about like 3 by the third year, and then like interesting part is like, you know, you learn all this stuff through rehab. Like but it's a bunch of able-bodied people teaching you like how to live in a wheelchair, which they have a great heart. Like they do. People that go into those professions, like I appreciate them. The ones, especially the ones that push you hard and feel sorry for you. But also, there's the aspect of like they're just empathizing or just kind of putting themselves in that situation. They don't actually know what it is to live in the chair or do certain things, you know. So I basically learned a lot more from just playing in that, getting around people in chairs and people like me, like how to like use the bathroom or bowel program or sexually active. When I was like, in the hospital, it was like I'm 17 and there's a bunch of grown ass men in this fucking meeting and they're asking questions. And you got any questions? I'm the youngest kid in there. I only had sex one time before this. So it's like I was just staying quiet. I was just shy and like I really didn't ask any questions. So then once I got around peers with the same kind of level of disability, some people, you know, cast, some people don't, some people, you know.
How did you feel around them? Me, bro, I couldn't be around people in wheelchairs in the beginning. I couldn't. I remember going to Sharp Hospital and there was a meeting, a man's meeting group or whatever for people in wheelchairs, and I didn't want to be there. When they were talking about these things that you just mentioned, I was like, nah, hell no. This is how we have to do it now. Like all those, bro. I couldn't be around it.
For me, it was like I was like cool kid in the crowd because like I like even like early in my injury, I was going to like Lourdes, France, and going to this trip, like religious trip. Even though like the priest that I like went to Catholic school, he kind of was my advocate, and he was like, "Hey, you're gonna do this opportunity." Like he took kids from the inner city and kids from like the you know like from the suburbs and kind of mixed it together, and we would go to France and like help people that were sick on their sick beds, and then like do a little prayer procession. We stayed there in a week or two, depending. We went to like I think it was France, and then we went to was it Lourdes, France, in Barcelona, Spain.
Okay. And so this is through the military, like, or are you just playing with the team?
4 years after my injury. So like once I started work, like being around the other guys, and they're like, "You're doing this already? You're doing this already in the chair?" And I was just like, "Yeah." So they were kind of like, I was learning like the wheelchair aspect of like living in the chair, and then like they were just learning how to like live, I guess, like outside of the chair, like because I was, you know, most of my friends were able bodies, where some of these guys are born in the chair and all they have is, you know, friends that are in chairs, or a lot of it, because it was Chicago, like I would say 80% of the team or 75% of the team did get shot. So I was like, we should be called the Chicago Bullets, not the Chicago Hornets. But yeah, so most of the guys did get shot, so we kind of had the same level of injuries, and then, you know, learning their perspective, and just I had like my buddy Major, he just kind of was like, we vibed on like chair or not, I would have been cool with that dude, you know, no matter what, because he was just one of those cool cats and just always looked at the positive things in life. So I was just kind of like gravitate to those guys, and a lot of guys smoke, and that's kind of helped with dealing with the pain, because I usually take like, in the beginning I was taking like 5 medicines, like Neurontin, Baclofen, Vicodin. My mom took me off of Vicodin too, so it's cool. Yeah, the good moms know. You're
bro.
just answering my questions like a zombie.
She literally put them on the top somewhere. I was like, this is some bullshit. I don't even know where
my mom put this shit. She just got it out of the way, and it was cool though, because it was just making me into just like a yes, no, go through the motions kind of person.
And what got you with the military though? Who put you in? Who said, man, this guy could be a coach?
So basically, segueing from like just telling you like, okay, so I learned all this stuff, they put me on game, and so we were basically played with RIC for a couple years, and so I was at a tournament, it's called a Bluegrass tournament, and this was like probably like one of the mid-season championship kind of tournament, like it was like nationals, but it was a mid-season one, and everybody went, the best ballers, and so I was there, and the team was up a little bit. And so I got in the game, and I was like passing, and I was just doing like anticipation passes, like where I was going full court, and I knew a guy was trailing, and I would just throw it behind my back, and did a couple no looks, and just passing pretty much what I bring to the game at that point. And then the coach from U of I, he saw me, and he's like, "Oh, you know, I like your potential. You could possibly, come to U of I on a scholarship if you're interested and stuff." And a year before that, my teammate had got recruited. His name was Juan, and so he had got recruited, but he kind of just was like brushed it under the rug. And then our coach at the time, he was just like, "Yeah, I should really do that," you know. And for me, I was already working, like I was working at the security firm, and I went to school for a couple years. Like right after my injury, like I was jumping on the bus, like probably after I actually got home, like 3 months 3 to 5 months after like my injury, like my mom didn't let me sit around.
That's good.
So I went to this graphic design school for a year and a half, and then I was working with this firm called Monterey Security, and I kind of just started off just handing out applications, and then just kind of worked my way up and got into the HR part, and then I got into like actually staffing the events, and so I was in charge of staffing the Bears games, and I'm like 20, when I'm 20, 21, and I'm like, you know, I have this job where I have like a lot of responsibility, just kind of work my way up. And then so I had that opportunity to go to U of I, and it was kind of like, I have this, and then I have this, and I kind of was, you know, didn't know which one was better for me at that point, you know, because I'm stable, I'm out of my mom's crib, like have my own apartment, kind of like Dan was doing. And so I was at that point like, do I really need school right now? I already got a good job, like, you know. So, but then like people were getting raises, and I asked for like $2 raise or something, and they kind of, and I was the one, mind you, I was the one who stuffed checks, so I knew who everybody's
who was getting paid,
and like who was getting raises. I was like, you gave this girl a raise, and she makes my life a nightmare at work, not answering her phone half the time, and I'm not a good liar. I don't like lying to people. Yeah, she's not here. Yeah, she's in her office. Like, you know, like, you know, like I was just so mad, you know, and so I would just be like, all right. Anyways, so
that's kind of how you got involved with.
So
with the
basically,
military.
I was at that company, and so you know, them not wanting to give me that raise was like, all right, I'm gonna go to school. And then I called the coach, and I was like, hey, my buddy Juan, you offered him a scholarship. My buddy's like, if you go, I'll go. And then so I kind of made it a package deal. I was like, yo, I'm gonna go, but like last year you offered Juan a scholarship. Like if he goes, then we could be like teammates, or I mean, we could be roommates or whatever. And he's like, all right, cool, yeah. So he signed off on it, and so we both win. And then from there, you know, had my time of my life. College is a great experience. It's the best social experience you'll ever have. Even if you go for a year and you don't like it, like you got to try it. Yeah. And then from there, basically when so I went to school for sport management. Originally went for sociology because I wanted to be a school counselor. And then I took a couple of sport management classes, and I was like, just like that. Like it was kind of like the back of my hand, and I had social as my minor. So once I was leaving school, one of my teammates, Joey Guglada, he was we won a couple championships. Yeah. So you know, we had a good time together, winning championships, and a lot of people recognize you from the coach. So it's like being coached by Coach K from Duke or something. You know, people respect that person. So if you come from that camp, people automatically give you that respect. So my coach did a couple camps over here with the vets, and then he took a couple players. We'd always do camps in the summer. And then my buddy, he grew up with a guy in New York who went to the military and then came back, and he had some issues when he came back, and he wanted to start working with wounded warriors, and then he got involved as an assistant coach, and like believe when 2010 or 12, when did it start? I'm not really sure. Around that area. So and then I got involved maybe like a year and a half later, so around 13 or 14. And so basically he became the head coach, and then he hired me on as his assistant coach.
That's what's up, man.
So I've been doing that for like about 9 years now. And
you're a really good player, bro. Not just because you're the homie, but you are a really good player. You
appreciate it.
Even when we're just scrimmaging, bro, like you know what you're doing. When you give advice, it actually follows through with actually trying to make the score. You know what I mean? Like so, yeah. Like you are a pretty damn good coach, bro. Like sometimes I feel you should be the coach, but that's a whole nother topic. You know, I'm gonna leave it at that. But
well, I mean, it's just I came from a good. You know, it's like anything you do it consistently enough, you're gonna be good at it. And that's the thing. You know, in college, like maybe going through it, I hated some of the drills I did, and you know, some of the practices. But like games were fun and easy because practice was hard. You know, so that kind of like gave me that discipline that I needed. Is like, all right, you can bring it in practice and then just have fun in a game. Versus like some teams, they don't want to really bring it in practice and they just want to turn it on in a game, you know. So it was just kind of like, you know, I had that training for years. So a lot of things now, like when I coach people, if they don't have the training, I don't get on them as hard as when I was younger, because I thought everybody knew what I knew, but they didn't, you know, because I was blessed to have 4 or 5 years of training like that.
Man, that's awesome, Jaime.
So from there, how I got involved with the military was my teammate, basically, like I said, he had that opportunity, and then the last couple years, he had moved on to another job, and so I moved up to the head coach now. So I'm coaching them. And
So you're the head coach.
for the
So are
Marines
you
as
his
well.
assistant coach, or how does that work?
He's on the Marine Corps side. I'm on the Navy side.
Oh, okay. So you guys are in different
we
branches.
coach against each other.
Yeah.
That is sick. Okay, bro. Okay, so Dan, talk to me, bro. Like, what's your story behind it? How did you get involved with the military and even coaching the Navy? That's
So
man, I didn't know
I'll
that,
back
bro. That's
up,
awesome.
To how I first started. So
What's your basketball?
What's your basketball?
In 2006 February. I got involved pretty quick. 6 months after I got hurt, I was at a doctor's appointment, and there was another patient who just said, "Hey, have you ever seen or heard of wheelchair basketball?" And said, "Hey, we play at Balboa Park on Wednesdays. Come on out, next week." I was like, "Sure, I'm not doing nothing." Went and checked it out. So from there, I went to my first practice, met Coach Grant. He got me fitted in a wheelchair, transferred into the basketball chair, and I loved it right away. The first thing I loved about it was just the distraction, right? Because fresh injury, you're either going to be at home dwelling about your injury on the couch, being depressed, or you can, get out and do something.
Yep.
So that distraction, I really needed it right away, right? So I got in that chair. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. This is something I could work on and maybe get better at. And a couple weeks later, I kind of just fell in love with it, like, because I got a sense of the competition at practice, and I was like, oh, okay, like, you know what I mean? I'm not racing a motorcycle anymore, but it's still competing, right?
It
I
is.
mean, like, because I realized, like, we all have disabilities, but once we get on that court, like, I don't care what your disability is. Like, I'm gonna eat
I'm
your
coming at
lunch
you,
today,
yeah.
right? Like, I'm going after you.
yeah.
So that was the first thing I really loved about it. From there, I had a lot of fun traveling right away. So I learned a lot from my teammates. I had to get around in the wheelchair. Built a good relationship with Coach Grant. So, and then he was approached in 2011 by the Navy
Okay.
to do a training camp for their new athletes. And he, Grant was like, sure, like I'm interested in it, but I'm not going to do it without an assistant, right? Because I'm a coach, but I don't really get in the chair.
Yeah.
He picked. I was the lucky assistant that he picked.
That's what's up.
So I was like, well, I mean, we were about to do it for free. We because we just love wheelchair
Yeah,
basketball.
yeah.
And then we found out, like, oh, you guys want to pay us? Like, so it kind of turned into a paid gig from 2011. And then we did a couple camps. And then what we do is we train for something called the Warrior Games, which is basically a mini Paralympics where all the branches come together and compete. So Marines against Air Force, against Navy, against Army.
How do military guys feel about you guys coaching them? Is there an issue because of it? Like if you're not, because you're not in the military, but you're here in there.
There's a certain mentality for sure. It's changed over the last few years. Like the mentality, like it's almost got a little softer. But I mean, it was pretty hardcore where guys didn't. Kind of like how I wasn't accepting of my disability, like they weren't accepting of anything, right? But they respected us because we opened the door for them and taught them a whole new experience. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So they really respected us right away, and like it was a blast for me. And then if they have fun, then it's a win-win situation.
Yeah, man. To me, it's I love it, bro. First of all, I didn't even know you guys. I thought you guys were like in the same branch. Like, I to be honest, I didn't even know if it was Marine, Army, or Navy, right? But just hearing you guys being from the different, being part of different branches and just competing against each other, and like I said, not being in the military, bro, that's crazy. That's the trip, how it works.
The other kind of way that we connected with the military is when I was playing for Coach Grant, we had an Army vet come through named Junar Barrera, a good friend of ours. And so after playing with him for 2 seasons, he got the idea where he kind of wanted to branch off and start his own nonprofit and his own basketball team.
Okay.
So we actually kind of combined. We took some players from the other San Diego Team Express, combined it we tried. It was kind of an experimental thing for a year. We created SoCal Soul. Kind of fell apart after 1 year, and then at the end of that year, we had a bunch of new recruits coming in from the Balboa Naval Hospital. So Operation Iraqi Freedom had all the Marine Corps coming in, all the amputees, and all that were coming through, and they had a group of guys that were interested in playing wheelchair basketball. So they got connected with a girl named Marla Knox, a rec coordinator, which ended up being our coordinator for our local team, which kind of connected me and Junar to the military side, right? And then they approached Junar and were saying, hey, we want to build an all-military team. Well, Junar said, well, that's beautiful. I want to do it too, but we don't have enough spinal cord injuries. right? Because they were all amputees.
Yeah.
So he was the only spinal cord injury at the time. He's like, all right, we could do this, but I'm not doing it without Dan and without Billy, because those were the other two spinal cord injuries, and we needed those to complete the team.
Yeah.
So that's how the Wolfpack was formed. We had another a teammate of Jaime's, David Rodarte, was our first coach, and then Jaime came through and was the coach the following year, and that's how kind of we all got connected and got together.
Okay, so you guys play in different branches, but you guys are also one team through the Wolfpack.
We coach against each other at the Warrior games, and then we come together as a team and play together.
So you guys know each other's playbooks and shit, huh?
Yeah. Exactly.
I know Jaime's gonna do this, bro. Go get him. Yeah, fun. That's crazy, my boy.
You know, and you know the other when we're coaching, it's more like strategy, right? You know, when we play with each other too. We have our team strategy, right? But everything changes whatever with your personnel, right?
Exactly.
You could have like, you know, a system, but if it doesn't fit your personnel, then you're just kind of putting square peg in the round hole.
It's like every year we're making a sandwich and we got all these ingredients, so we're kind of decide what kind of sandwich we want to make that year. You know what I mean?
don't want bologna today.
Yeah. So it's not like
you get liverwurst.
It's not like scouting. Like it's not like we're playing on a 3-on-3 team, and I'm like, oh, I could scout him because I know how he plays. It's more like we're just kind of taking what we learned over the years and just kind of spreading that knowledge. And because we only have a short time to coach these teams, like the camp, like everything leads up to the Warrior games, but we have like a week camp or maybe 2 weeks camp, and we'll have maybe 3 to 5 days to kind of teach them all these fundamental things that I've learned over years in college. So it's kind of a cram session, and we've learned how to pick like what we have with the time, like what's the most important thing, like because we don't have enough time to explain everything. So it's kind of one of those things. And so what he's saying, it was like Olympic style tournament, but we all they have different sports. So we coach wheelchair basketball, and then there's like sit volleyball.
And you also play football, huh?
Rugby,
wheelchair football.
I just started playing
football. Wheelchair football. They only have it close to San Diego. It's in LA, but it's freaking awesome, bro. If they had one here in San Diego, I would be all up for it. I don't like basketball like that. I was never even into it. Never have been, to be honest, even today. But football, man, it's badass.
It's a good strategy sport. We're trying to get it down here eventually.
Let me know, bro. I'll be there. I'll be there real quick. Man, you guys, thank you guys so much for taking time of your day, you guys, for real, for coming. You know, here, just, you know, the purpose for this podcast, you guys, really is to expose people like you, bro. You know, we all have this fucked up story. Like and even today, we still, kind of like you said, bro, you know, we go through phases where it gets better, it gets easier, we get to accept it, you know, and you still do something with it. And that's what I love, and that's what I respect, bro. And to me, it's so interesting how you're not even in the military and you're here helping these military guys. Because you really are doing a difference. They don't, like, kind of like you said earlier, they're a little more tough, probably tougher on you guys because you weren't involved, but you guys showed them a different perspective of it, and now you guys have a team, and you guys have built your team. You know what I mean? So I think that's freaking awesome, bro. And like I said, man, you know, thank you guys so much for being here again. You know, Dan, what would you say to somebody, bro, that is new to this lifestyle, that barely just got injured maybe last week, barely's been in the chair a year? You know, what would you say to them, bro, to keep them positive in how they see their future, I guess?
I think that's the hardest part, is trying to stay positive. You know what I mean? Because even with me, even the word disability has a negative kind of connotation to it, right? Man. So I didn't even like that word disability. So one thing that really struck me, and that I've kind of been my mission statement, is turning disabilities into possibilities.
Damn, I never thought about it like that. Wow.
Right? Don't look at the negative. Don't look at what you can't do. Focus on what you can do. Right? And even if you struggle to do something and you can't do it, you know, like don't give up right away. You know what I mean? Like even like when you're teaching kids something, right? And if you tell a kid, no, like that's wrong, no, that's wrong, like it kind of messes up with their head, right? But if you tell them, like, no, like try another way, just try another way, right? And they'll kind of figure it out on their own. Like don't give up on something right away. You know, be persistent. Try to adapt. You know what I mean? They call it adaptive sports for a reason. You literally have to adapt to it.
You do.
Right? And then, you know what, the funny thing is, everything I've learned in adaptive sports, I could apply in my everyday life.
Yeah, bro.
It's helped me. So
It does, man. Man, thank you, my boy. Hi, man. What's up, bro? What would you say to somebody new to this wheelchair lifestyle, bro? Because sometimes it could suck.
I would say like earlier you were telling me you didn't know I was that humble. I don't think I'm that humble.
It sickens me.
I think the word you're looking for is perspective, and I think the biggest thing I've learned in the chair, and it's taught me patience and it's taught me perspective, and it's like if we can all like gain some perspective when we go through some kind of adversity, right? Like because if you think about it, just being in the chair, like you're gonna go through your obstacles in life, you know.
Yeah.
But it's how my one of my favorite sayings is the difference between an ordeal and an adventure is your attitude, right? So you can control your attitude and how you deal with things. You know, you might deal with a situation, shitty situation, but it's how with your attitude and how you go through that makes who you are. You know, that what brings out your character. So the biggest thing I would say is when you're struggling through something, always know that somebody's out there that has it worse than you, and just remember, do the best with what you have, with where you're at in life. That's about it.
There you go, you guys. As raw as it could get, man. You're hearing from people that've been in wheelchairs for quite a while, and they're doing something with it, man. With that being said, you guys, this is Wheal Talk again. Thank you guys so much, Jaime. Dan, you guys are freaking awesome. Like us on freaking Spotify, YouTube, all that stuff, man. Just check us out. You know, if you feel this video is helpful for somebody, show it to them, man, because it's still possible. We still make it happen. With that being said, you guys, this is Wheal Talk, you guys. Thank you guys so much. Peace out. Let's go, Jerry. We got this.